From Illinois Public Media News, this is 217 Today. I'm Kimberly Schofield. It's Thursday, October 31st. Coming up, we'll learn more about the black men voting ahead of the upcoming election. That story in just a few minutes, but first, these headlines. A top official with the U.S. Department of Agriculture was in Illinois this week to announce new research grants and loans for biofuels. That's fuel made from crops like corn and soybeans. IPM's Jim Meadows reports.
The grants include about $500,000 to add more E15 and E85 ethanol pumps in Illinois. It's part of the $39 million in grant money the USDA is giving out nationwide to expand biofuel distribution. Deputy Agriculture Secretary Xochitl Torres-Small says she's not worried that food prices could increase if more farmland is being used to grow crops for biofuel.
We don't see those as in competition at all. In fact, the biggest fear, if we want to think about the cost of food, is losing farm and agricultural land. We want to provide multiple ways for farmers to be profitable so they can stay in production for the long haul.
Torres-Small says the funding also includes $200 million for a loan program to help companies develop new biofuel products. I'm Jim Meadows, IPM News.
South Asian Americans are having a wider impact on local and national politics. The group is made up of individuals from various ethnic and religious backgrounds. That includes Democratic nominee for president Kamala Harris, who is half South Asian. Dilara Saeed is president of the Illinois Muslim Civic Coalition and an Indian American. She tells the 21st show identity politics only plays a limited role in her vote for president.
The identity of Kamala Harris excites me. The policy of where our country is headed is the main focus, though, of how I will vote. I want so badly for her policies to represent the policies that we believe in, the policies of justice, the policies of peace.
Saeed says getting South Asians to vote remains a challenge. Researchers estimate about half of all South Asian voters turn out to the polls. With colder weather approaching, apple harvest season is coming to an end. Some orchards in central Illinois had a lower harvest than usual. IPM student reporter Alyssa Eaton has more on how cicadas impacted apple orchards this year.
Okaw Valley Apple Orchard in Sullivan, Illinois saw a 60% decrease in apples this year due to the emergence of 3 broods of cicadas. That's according to owner Mike Mitchell. He says cicadas damaged and stunted the growth of the younger apple trees because they laid their eggs in the bark.
Every single limb, I'm not saying a few here and there, every single limb that was a half an inch or less is split.
Despite the damage, Mitchell says the trees can repair themselves, and he's optimistic that his apple harvest will return to normal next year. I'm Alyssa Eaton, IPM News.
President Joe Biden issued an apology last week for a federal policy of forcibly separating Native children from their parents and sending them to boarding schools where they endured abuse and some died.
Generations of Native children stolen, taken away to places they didn't know, with people they never met, who spoke a language they had never heard.
Joseph Rupnick is chairman of Illinois' federally recognized tribe, the Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation. He told IPM's Emily Hayes that after the boarding schools, only 5 of the 4,500 members of the band speak Potawatomi as a first language.
What has been the experience of people in your nation with boarding schools?
Start off with my mom, who was 3 years old when she was first taken to attend boarding school, and they shipped her to Marty, South Dakota. So when the agents came down, my grandparents tried to say she's not old enough. They said, no, she's plenty old. And they took her to South Dakota. Of course, our reservation is in Kansas.
Can you tell me more about how you think the boarding schools affected your mom?
She never talked Indian again. And I remember when I was a little kid, my grandparents was talking Indian to us, and then she got mad at them. And then part of that was because she says, well, I don't want these kids to grow up with broken English, and and having, somebody abuse them like I was. That was a piece of us that was taken away that we'll never be able to get back.
What do you think would be a true apology then for the U.S. government doing the boarding schools?
While apologies are good, that does not really translate into action. And right now, tribes have to compete against each other for grant dollars for language revitalization. I said, if the government truly wanted to make that first step, then the ultimate goal should be that no tribe should ever have to pay for language revitalization. That should be an amount that Congress sets aside that is directly paid to the tribe for those language programs.
So do you have any language revitalization programs right now?
Yes, we do.
What does that look like?
They're doing a really good job. They're starting to teach a lot of the youth. They also partner with our local school district where they're able to go in and teach the language in school, and it's open to anybody. On top of that, we're working towards making our language instructors certified so that those kids that do participate in that language program in school can use that as credits for secondary education.
What would you say is your next step in language revitalization?
Same as it has been since I've been in office. Of course, we fund our language program, try to get as many folks involved in it as we can. So as a government, we're making sure that it's there, it's available, and that they have the necessary funds to continue the program.
Thank you so much for your time.
That was IPM education reporter Emily Hayes talking with Joseph Rupnick, the chairman of Illinois' federally recognized tribe, the Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation. Still to come, we'll learn more about black men voting ahead of the upcoming election. That story is coming up next on 217 Today, but first, meteorologist Andrew Pritchard with your forecast.
I'm meteorologist Andrew Pritchard with your IPM News forecast for Champaign-Urbana. Your forecast for today: rain likely this morning, turning partly cloudy this afternoon with a high of 68 degrees, a southwest wind 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tonight, clear skies with a low of 37 degrees, a northwest wind 5 to 15 miles per hour. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 57 degrees, a north wind 5 miles per hour. Tomorrow night, clear skies with a low of 36 degrees, an east wind 5 miles per hour. And for Saturday, mostly sunny with a high of 65 degrees, and a southeast wind 5 miles per hour.
Next time on the 21st Show, part 2 of our conversations on policy in this year's presidential election. This time we're covering economic issues, from tariffs to childcare to farming, including Project 2025, Trump's Agenda 47, and Harris's new way forward. I'm Brian Mackey. That's next time on the 21st Show. Join us.
You're listening to 217 Today. I'm Kimberly Schofield. Both presidential campaigns are making their closing arguments in the final days leading up to the election. Conversation online about black men not willing to vote has spiraled after former President Barack Obama pushed them to cast a ballot. IPM's David Pierce looks at what that means for some black men in Champaign in our Voice of the Voter series.
Like many families in Champaign County, McKinley Phillips says he and his family are just trying to get by financially. It's one of the main reasons why he hasn't voted since 2008, when Barack Obama became president.
Well, I told my father before I don't really believe in that type of stuff because they don't do nothing for the lower class or anything. So I was like, I didn't feel obligated to go do it. And he was like, well, it's going to be our first black president. You should just go on up there and go do it.
Phillips still doesn't know if he'll vote, but says if he does, it will be for former President Donald Trump. The Republican questioned the first black president's birth certificate, and now he has questioned the identity of Kamala Harris. Here's what he said at the National Association of Black Journalists convention in Chicago this summer.
I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much, and she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
During a mid-October meeting with Pennsylvania voters posted earlier this month by Politico, Obama criticized black men for having apathy.
You're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you?
Harris crisscrossed the country to be interviewed on talk shows hosted by black men, including NFL Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe.
If you look at my work over a period of years, my focus again on something like maternal mortality is longstanding, which directly impacts black men and black women.
Right.
And the black family. If you look at the work that I am doing that is about small businesses, you know, the person who helped my mother raise us, who was a second mother to us, was a small business owner. I have always focused for such a long time on what we need to do, knowing that our small businesses are part of the culture of our communities.
Her efforts may be paying off. According to an October 27th ABC News Ipsos poll, 11% of black men likely to vote will show up for Trump, while 85% of black men say they will vote for Harris. Reverend T.A. Burks is one of them.
It's important for black people to go out and vote for the simple fact that black people have to realize and understand that people have lived and died so that they can have the right to vote. They have suffered and been beaten so people can have the right to vote. And for you to sit back and say, well, my vote don't count, that's not good enough.
But the black experience in America also includes immigrants. Teriowe Sophia was born in Nigeria. His family came here for a better life. Now that he is a U.S. citizen, his parents are urging him to exercise his rights and vote for the first time.
My parents said, regardless of that, just your voice needs to be heard. And especially if it's not just the overall arching presidential election, there's also smaller elections too.
Sophia is also voting for Harris. The ABC News Ipsos poll says Harris has more support from black men than Joe Biden's 79%, following an exit poll from the last presidential election. David Pierce, IPM News.
A reminder, this is the last weekend for early voting in Illinois. On Tuesday, Election Day, November 5th, the polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Check out the Your Voice, Your Vote section of ipmnewsroom.org to see a ballot based on your address, and we'll have up-to-the-minute results on Tuesday night. That's it for today. 217 Today is produced by Stephanie Mosqueda. Reporting today contributed by Jim Meadows, Kulsum Khan, Alyssa Eaton, Jim Meadows, Emily Hayes, and David Pierce. Music by the Kilbourne Alley Blues Band. Reginald Hardwick is our news director. I'm Kimberly Schofield. 217 Today is a production of Illinois Public Media. Thanks for listening, stay safe, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.